It's just been a deal that was, we thought, very complicated. It became very simple. It's opening up the country that we really didn't have the kind of access to. You know, they've been working on this deal for 25 years. And we got it done, and we got it done. Really, it's going to be great for both countries.
Finally, is what we've all been waiting for. President Trump inks his very first full and comprehensive trade agreement. It's the United Kingdom, and it's the first of what he promises will be many major deals to follow. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Big Money Show. I'm Dagan McDowell. Joining me, my co-hosts, Taylor Riggs, Brian Brimberg, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for this whole hour, Fox News contributor Liz Peek. The deal comes with just 2 months remaining on the president's reciprocal tariff pause. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is America's largest single trading partner, and the president has made it very clear, if you want access to the world's largest economy, come deal on America's terms. Deals with India and Israel are said to be close, but the EU, not so much. The European Union rattling sabers, threatening to slap tariffs on American cars, jets, planes, even whiskey, bourbon. How dare you if President Trump will not come to the table. The tone for me, let's do qualitative, Liz, and not quantitative to begin. Or you can talk about whatever you like. But the tone between Keir Starmer and President Donald Trump, he was joining by phone. It was one of camaraderie, of partnership, of a special relationship, talking about the 80-year anniversary of the end of the war and Winston Churchill. And that was what kind of initially you take away from what was quite joyous in the Oval.
It was very cheerful. And to Trump's point, this negotiation or discussion has been going on for a quarter of a century. I mean, it's amazing. Biden very much wanted to do a trade deal with the UK, couldn't get it done. So I think the fact that they accomplished this in record short order, let's remember that most trade deals take years to accomplish. This is a major achievement. And I think they needed it. They needed to show the American public that the tariffs were going to produce something valuable. They did produce something valuable. We're going to have more exports of different kinds of products going to the UK, opening up a country that has been, for all that it's, great ties with the U.S., resistant, particularly to U.S. agriculture. And I was really struck by Brooke Rollins' incredible excitement about exponentially increased shipments of beef, which I think means actually we don't ship much at all. But at least we have now a market for that. And our farmers are very worried about tariffs. This is a very good day for them.
I tend to agree a little bit, Dagan. If you don't mind if I jump in, I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie. I'll put myself out there. This morning, I was like, oh, no, it's the UK. I was like, I think the market wanted India or Japan or South Korea. We have a surplus with the UK. Technically, Howard Lutnick is saying it's even if you take out gold. I was like, how much is the market really going to be able to sift through this as a framework? Is this going to be able to give us anything to glean from future trade deals? Did we want something a little bit better? And frankly, I'm pleasantly surprised. I think to your point, Dagan, there was some positivity in the Oval Office, great conversations between the president and the prime minister. And here's sort of my key takeaway, and maybe at least today, this is also what the markets are thinking. What matters is that this shows that Trump wants a deal. He's willing to do what it takes to get deals done, and he is doing them. This is a direction of travel, right? So this is one in, we hope, hundreds. But again, how many others can we now fast track? What does this now tell us about how we think about allied nations versus unallied nations, and can we fast track deals with allied nations? So again, for me, this was a little bit surprising in a good way about we can glean something more from this than I originally thought about a framework and about that direction of travel at which we're going.
And I'd like to build on that, just looking at some of the details, if that's okay.
I was just going to bring up the details, but go ahead. Yep.
You got
No, you got him, girl.
Okay.
Hit it.
Well, so what I was impressed about this deal particularly with was what you're talking about, Taylor, the negotiation that happened within it. And I think it's important because it sets up the template for other countries to say those tariffs that were on that gruesome list that nobody liked, those were a starting point, but they can come down if we talk to you. All the particulars of every country are very different, and so those negotiations will be individualized, but it's these non-tariff barriers that they wanted to go after, and that's what they're doing here. So Lutnick actually, believe it or not, sort of laid out the details. He talked about a 10% tariff overall, and remember, we were charging a 3.4% tariff, so that went up for the UK. Their tariff came down from 5.1% to 1.8%. The agricultural exports that will be doing that new business is going to bring in $5 billion. The tariff revenue is going to bring in $6 billion in revenues. And so I think what he's trying to show here is that what he said the other day about us being the store. If you come shop at our store and you give us more business, we'll give you more favorable terms, and you're going to want to do more business here. If he can get every allied country to shop a little bit more at the store, I actually think that's going to be very impactful. And when you get those allied countries to come to the table and create those deals, then you really start boxing in China. And he said this about China, which I think was really important. He said the China tariffs are 145%. They can't go any higher. So you know they're going down.
He spoke very positively about China and Xi Jinping. We have in place what is essentially a trade embargo with China.
Right.
So there was a great deal of hope in the way that he was speaking. It said in the intro that the UK is our single largest trading partner. That's not accurate. Year-to-date trade totals. The United Kingdom is 11th in terms of trade. 11th, so not even in the top 10 right now. It's Mexico, Canada, China, Switzerland. I could go down the list. Brian, so 10% tariff that we imposed, to Jackie's point, it stays in place.
Yeah.
And the tariff on automobile imports, it falls from 25% to 10%. President Trump talking about Rolls-Royce and the automobiles made there, and he admits, he said, this is the pride and prize of Britain, my words, not his, that they're going to continue to make Rolls-Royce and those automobiles in Britain, so we're just going to lower the tariff. But he was asked, is the 10% a template for future trade deals? And he said, no, that's a low number.
That is interesting. When I heard him talk about the 10%, and there was another question about 10%, and he kind of moved off it very quickly, like, I don't really want to talk about that. It felt to me like he's saying there's going to be a number that's going to exist forever on tariffs. We're not going to bring these down to zero. But the real movement happened on China, and you both raised this point. That's what the market wants to know. What's this conversation going to be like? And he said it's going to be substantive. And Jackie, as you mentioned, he said, can't get any higher. He said these words that I think really mattered. We know it's coming down.
Yeah.
We know it's coming down. And that's when the market really took off. So I think he expects a lot out of Scott Bessent this weekend. He made the market expect a lot out of Scott Bessent this weekend, but it was a very positive meeting. And I do think people are reading it as a template for what's to come.